thank you to everybody for being here today. We're really excited to have you for our presentation today called Clicks and Giggles. And Tim, would you like to take it away, sir?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you, everyone. Like she said, thank you for joining us this morning. And welcome to what's going to be the first in a series of Compass Marketing and Advertising Partners webinars about marketing and advertising. As we brainstorm really what to do with this first one, we kept coming back to the fact that we get so many questions about digital. By no means is it new, but it's just constantly changing. So it's really tough to keep up with everything. So we thought, well, let's just do our first webinar on digital advertising just for clicks and giggles. So let's get some introductions out of the way. My name is Tim Coling. I am co-owner and partner at Compass Marketing and Advertising Partners. This summer marks 31 years that I've been in the industry, with a really heavy focus the last 10 to 12 years on marketing or digital advertising. And one thing I learned early on is when you do something like this, a seminar or webinar, that you make sure you do it with somebody who is much smarter and much cooler than you are. So Jen, I'll let you take it from here.
I'm just trying to survive the day most of the time. But I say that with love. Hi, guys. My name is Jennifer Getz. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. I am the Director of Marketing and Strategy here at Compass. I will have been with them for a year next month, which I'm very excited about. But have been not, I haven't done 31 years, but I've done 20 years in the game right now. So like I said, it's a pleasure to be here with you. My background is going to be more in the visual communication side, and then Tim's going to lead heavy on all things digital. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So basically over the next 30 minutes-ish or so, and like we said, we're going to leave some Q&A time at the end. We want to discuss with you the benefits of digital marketing and the different tactics and how they work. That's definitely big time Tim's wheelhouse. And then how do you be creative with not only layering in those marketing tactics, but your messaging and your outreach? So, Tim, at this point, I would kick it over to you on what
Yeah,
it's like to live in the digital world.
right. So everybody hang on, because keeping up with the changes in the digital world is like drinking from a fire hose. I had to have a prop. You know how I am with props. So
You got to have your props. That's right.
so digital marketing has really turned the marketing game on its head. And that is really what makes it kind of the MVP right now of modern advertising. Uh, First benefit is really reach. Digital advertising doesn't know, it just doesn't know where everyone is. It actually knows where they live, which is kind of exciting, because you can target by county, state, city, specific buildings, neighborhoods. We can even have we even have some tactics where you can go back in time and target events and locations that have already happened. When we do a campaign with a client, we first start by setting up a geo, and basically your geo is the area where you're going to serve your ads. So,
Exactly. So whether you're wanting to launch something local or promote something nationwide, geo targeting or doing those geos ensures that your ad reaches the right people, the right neighborhoods. We would not sell surfboards in Kansas typically. So that kind of thinking with it, that's the importance of a geo.
right. So next big benefit is targetability. Whether it's demographics, interests, behaviors, you name it, we can target it. Imagine digital advertising. I like to tell people it's a little bit like having your own personal super detective, maybe like a Sherlock Holmes reincarnated in algorithms and pixels. It doesn't guess who might be interested in your product. It already knows.
Exactly, because what's going on here is you've got a pretty cool blend of demographics and interests and online behaviors, and it's going to serve up the ad based on a lot of those things to exactly the right target. It's kind of like saying, here we have this ad; it's tailored just for you because we know that you love plant shopping and sharks and jeeps and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I wonder who that is.
I couldn't imagine.
uh, Customizing a campaign, it's really gone are the days of those one size fit all marketing tactics that we used to use. Digital advertising, as you can see, lets you play a little bit of mad scientist with your campaigns. You can tweak and tinker with your messages, with your visuals, with the offers, and you can match them up with the different audience segments that are out there.
Exactly. So it's kind of like having a wardrobe of ad creatives. So you can switch from business casual to party mode with a click. Um, but because why would you want to show something to someone that, like, let's say somebody's a little bit more of an introvert, they don't want to go out too often. We're not going to show them hiking gear. It wouldn't make sense. So.
All right. Behavioral targeting. So if you've ever poked around and all of a sudden you see this new gadget popping up, and then everywhere you go, you see this gadget, that's really digital advertising kind of playing mind reader. It tracks your online movements and it understands really what makes you tick.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like when you finally get yourself ready to buy, it's just whispering off to the side, "Hey, I was that cool thing you wanted to buy." And it just hangs out until you finally click.
That's right. Oh, yes, the holy grail, cost, efficiency, and ROI. Digital advertising just doesn't just spend your money, it actually invests it wisely for you.
Very much so. With precise targeting and real-time analytics, you know exactly where your dollars are going. And if we can see something in there that says, "Hey, maybe it's not performing well over here, but it is performing well over here," we're going to make shifts and adjustments. You would want that from somebody like us. So it's kind of like having a financial guru that also speaks in marketing. So
Exactly. And that plays into our next one, real-time optimization and measuring your results. So you kind of think of digital advertising as like sorry, I use a lot of analogies. Geez. You think of digital advertising as like a improv comedian. They don't go with a script. They read the room, or in this case, they're reading the data, and then they can adjust on the fly.
exactly. So like I said just a second ago, if you're seeing a campaign that's not performing, we can shift that dollar to go into the right thing, like faster than a cat with a laser pointer. And uh, one of the things that we want you to consider is that optimization is not just a buzzword. You might hear it get thrown around a lot. But it really is the thing that makes sure that your ads stay fresh and creative and are being used wisely.
All right. So now we're got through what the major benefits are. Let's talk a little bit about the tactics or what makes the magic happen.
And to do that, we want to kind of walk you through how our process works here at Compass.
Right. So we really have three pillars that we use: define, design, and deliver. We use that with everything we do, but in the for the instance of digital advertising, what we do is we start with defining what your geos are, what areas you want to place things in. Then we look at, obviously who your target's going to be based on the demographics, interest and behaviors. And then we use that to set up what your goals and objectives are. So that's the define.
Exactly. And then with design, like I said, my background is in design, but that's not just making you something that's cool or printable or whatever. When we talk about design from the Compass perspective, we're talking about the whole campaign. And then we're going to, and I always encourage people to think in layers about this kind of stuff, not just your visuals, not just your written words, but also how are these types of things going to go out. And so when we talk about design, we are talking about that whole campaign and then working with you about the tactics that are going to be the right ones for you to be successful.
Yeah. And then when we get to deliver, we deliver your campaign. And then as it's going, we evaluate tactics based on the data, on the analytics, and then we just make sure it's optimized and performing the way it's supposed to be.
Absolutely. So at this point, let's go ahead and talk about a few of those tactics.
All right. So these are some of the
Yes.
Oh gosh, sorry, Jen.
Sorry, Tim. My bad. My bad.
These are some of the more popular ones. We're going to really hit on some of the ones that we use the most. Starting with targeted display, I always say this one's like a little bit like shooting fish in a barrel. It's just a little less messy.
Exactly. So we have all had that time where we've looked at something online. For my house, it could be a range of things. We often get chased around by video footage that we're trying to consider buying. Um, but basically, when you start to look for something online and then it follows you around, that's what this is. So it's one of the most basic, but one of the most effective tactics with digital marketing. And we see individuals that are interested based on what they search for, and then we read and look into their other online behaviors, and then we try to serve them those ads based on their interests and behaviors.
So let's look at it this way. If anybody knows Jen like we do, she's like a fantabulous, absolutely awesome photographer. You got really got to see some of her work. But
Thank you.
so let's say Jen is thinking about a new camera. So she visits a website that talks a little bit about the camera. Then she got on a photography forum, maybe that where she wanted to read what others are saying about it. And then she searched and found a couple articles about the cameras that she's considering. And then finally, she goes to a site where she's actually looking at accessories and maybe what comes with it. And then what happens?
So what happens next is that I'm going to start seeing ads for cameras everywhere I go. If I look at the weather on my weather app, I'm going to see that camera, maybe even a competitor's camera. Um, and I could hop on Pinterest. I could hop on Google to look for something else. Um, Everywhere I go online, I'm going to see ads for that camera.
And that is targeted display. Now, this next one is probably one of our favorites. It's weird because it's actually there's several names for it. Geo-targeting with look back is one name, polygoning is another name, mobile to social is a name. Um, it's really quite integrated with things that you can do. But to explain it, I want to kind of use an analogy. Say you are a company that is producing something that has that Kansas City Chiefs fans would absolutely love to have. Well, right now it's July, so it's a couple months until football season starts, but you'd really like to get in front of them right away. Um, what we can do is we can go back in time with this tactic and we can do things in real time. So what we do is we pick locations where those targets might be. So in this case, we can target the entire Arrowhead complex with the inside the game tailgaters, and then we can also target, let's say, whatever geo you've set up. We can target sports bars on the day of games when the games are on, so we know that the people in those sports bars might be there for the Chiefs. So once we've done that, we've targeted those. Now we can go in and we capture the device IDs. So your phone has a device ID, like a VIN number on a car. It's not the phone number, but it's the actual device ID. We can capture those from current time and from the past, and then we can serve them ads on their phones. So that's where the mobile to social comes into play. We can serve them ads on their phones and their social media platforms. So that number that we capture will match up directly with their profiles on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. It will also match up with the apps that they use on their phone, whether it's like a weather app or a game they're playing or any app that accepts ads. Your banners will show up there. It will also show up on the website that they're looking at on their phone's browser, like I have Safari on my phone. So you're really tracking them based on their interest and where they've been because of that target. Um, the polygoning comes in. The reason we call it polygoning to some extent is the old geofencing. You would have like a building that you wanted to target, but you had this big circle around it that you would geofence. So you might be catching people in the next restaurant or an apartment complex next door that aren't your target, and you're wasting some impressions. Polygoning stands for the fact that we can actually geometrically target that building within 3 meters of the outside wall. We actually had one where we targeted half of a business. because we knew that the target that these people were going after were on that half of the building. So it's pretty. So give you another example of how this is used. We had a company a few years ago that had bought up a lot of small mom and pops around the region in smaller towns. There was that when these stores over, that people that had been customers there forever would be a little skittish and skeptical about the new company coming in and taking over. So what they did was they polygoned or went back in time and targeted all of those locations and served people that had been in there the last 2 years ads that said same great service, same great pricing. Nothing's really changed. Come back and shop with us. What they also did was in the towns that had competition, they polygoned that competition with a different set of ads that talked about the benefits and maybe some different opportunities of coming to shop with their new stores. So those are great examples. Some of the things that it's really being used for right now that we're seeing it used a lot is recruitment.
Mhm.
That's for both like colleges, different things like that, recruiting students. Um, Several years ago, and it was been in February of 2020 with the company I was previously at, we did something similar to this with a major university. Got the contract in February, March of 2020. We all know what happened. So they were in a bit of a panic, wondering what to do because big part of their recruitment model was being in the high schools talking to those kids. Well, nobody was there, so we were able to go back in time to where the kids were in the school, target their mobile devices, and start serving them ads about that college on their phones. So a lot of people are using it right now, especially for recruitment of employees. Um, as a business, it's hard to find good employees, qualified employees. So a lot of people are using this to target people where they're already working. They might not be looking for a job, but if they see some ads pop up about your business that talk about benefits, talk about better opportunities, they're at least going to check it out. And that way you get some really good leads on qualified employees. So,
Absolutely.
so Jen, what's our next one?
Next, we are going to dive in on social media advertising. Again, another layer for you guys to consider that might be beneficial for you. So basically, every time you put something into social media that defines you even the littlest bit, whether we're talking about your birthday, your marriage status, pages that you like, content that you interact with, um, that's really used to create a profile that we will then use for targeting purposes, advertising targeting purposes.
All right. Yeah. And this is a huge advantage because, like she said, everything that you're interested in is right there in your profile. Some really unique examples of this. We can target people by their job title. We can target people by really anything that they put on. One example is on LinkedIn. We recently did a campaign for a client that was doing continuing education classes for a certain industry, and they wanted to target people who had a certification in a couple different softwares. Well, LinkedIn really is kind of like a big resume. So people are going to put on there what they're certified in, and they're proud of it and it's accomplishment. So we could see this was a nationwide campaign. We could see everybody that had been certified in these softwares. So we were really able to pinpoint who we were going after with these CEUs for this client, and they were glad that it was a online class because they probably didn't have a building big enough for all the people that they got to attend because it was specifically targeted for them. So tactics for targeting customers on social media, they go well beyond boosting. One thing I want to make sure people understand, there's social media advertising, which is what we're talking about, and there's social media management. Management is posts that you make, things that you're doing on your own Facebook page that's talking to your followers. And then when you boost it, you're going to increase the frequency to your followers and maybe talk to a few more of them. Social media advertising, you're going to get in front of far more people than a normal post to your current followers. These are ads that are placed in that line up with those targeted demographics based on the interests that your campaign's going after.
Exactly. And there's a little bit of a misconception with boosting, that it's necessarily going to introduce your business to new people. Really, it's largely retargeting to your own people and the people that follow those people. So that's just one thing to consider.
Right. So next, let's talk about where TV meets the internet. CTV and OTT. A lot of people don't even know what those mean. Real quick uh, definition: CTV is really the kind of the traditional, the big TV you bring home and take out of the box and put in your entertainment center. So it's connected TV, or the TV that you plug into the wall. It's the TV in your living room, in the office, in your bedroom. OTT is everything else. OTT stands for over the top, which I'm still not understanding what that means, but it's everything else you can watch video on your phone, tablet, laptop, anywhere where you're watching video. A lot of companies will, if you want to do a campaign on streaming services, they'll ask you to pick one or the other. We do a blend. It's, you might as well hit everybody everywhere. So let's talk about where streaming's going. Just earlier this month, Forbes came out with an article that told us that in overwhelmingly 99% of every U.S. household is subscribed to at least one streaming service. I think it's Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Apple TV Plus were leading the way in that.
Yes, and Nielsen also tells us that you mentioned 2020 doing what it did earlier, Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, More and more people are using streaming services, and it is wildly outpacing cable or broadcast services. So that's a good argument for this one.
Yeah, and it's really this streaming has caused advertising and TV advertising to change more than anything over the past few years. And what it does, it also gives us the ability to track and attribute where your viewers are coming from. So with that massive amount of people switching over to streaming services to view TV at home or on their phone or their laptops, we just got back from a vacation, and to see the number of people sitting in an airport watching stuff on their phones,
Watching TV. Yep.
watching TV. So if you value analytics and data, the ability to provide that those numbers around viewership of content on devices is it's just a huge game changer.
It really, really is. I mean, the days of buying ads through the local networks or cable companies, it's really moved into placing video ad campaigns that will specifically target customers, like we said, based on their interests, behaviors, and the kind of products that they like to purchase.
And kind of go into that a little bit. We give you an example. My wife and I, we watch this same program every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock on Discovery. We have YouTube TV. So about a month ago, we were watching. I was in my office watching on my TV in my office, so it's CTV. My wife's in the living room just around the corner watching on her phone. Um, I may or may not listen to my TV a little loud. So she actually turned off the volume on her phone and was just hearing it through my TV in the office. And it came to a commercial break. Well, the commercial break's going, and I hear her. She yells at me. She goes, "Why did you change the channel?" I was like, "I didn't change the channel." She goes, "Yeah, you did. I'm watching a whole different commercial than I'm hearing on there." But so what it did was it was targeting her on her device with a commercial targeted toward her interest and behaviors. And my TV was playing a commercial targeted towards me. Same network, same thing we were watching. So that's really how it works. It's very interesting how it does it. So if we're talking about video, we really got to talk about YouTube TV as well. Um, it's the leading video sharing platform out there. According to Google, more than 1 billion people watch more than 6 billion hours of content on YouTube every month. So think about how much people are consuming that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, targeting capabilities include demographic groups, devices, life events, interests, topics, products. That's all mixed in there. So you're engaging with an audience who is choosing to watch your ad.
Exactly. So, and even to add another layer in that, we use a product called TrueView when we do our YouTube campaigns. So each viewer can decide whether or not to engage with an ad. So if you've watched YouTube videos, you know that they have the ad that plays right before the content you're wanting to watch, and it's skippable. And then if you watch a little bit longer of a video, sometimes that there's a break in there where they play a couple more ads. Well, with the True View, if that person you pay by views. So a lot of our tactics are by impressions, some tactics are by views. Um, with YouTube, it's per view is how you would pay for it. But if that client or that person watching doesn't watch your video at least 75% of the way, then you don't pay for that click or that view. So what's nice about it is they could watch, 30-second video. If they watch 10 seconds or 15 seconds, you're still getting a good impression. But if they don't watch at least three-fourths of the way through, you don't get charged for it. So that's one that thing that's nice. That's us saying, hey, we know we're going to get the people that are interested in your product based on the analytics. So we're not going to charge you unless they watch the video at least half, three-fourths of the way through.
Exactly. And I might also briefly add, and we'll kind of get to this a little bit later, that what Tim is referencing is called YouTube pre-roll a lot of times.
Right.
And if 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 you've got that 5 seconds before they can hit skip, always make sure that you plug your product in the first 5 seconds. I
Right.
just want to throw that out there.
Exactly.
So the next one that we wanted to talk with you guys about is digital audio. Your message is similar to the YouTube conversation. It's going to be in between music or podcasts that people are streaming across different providers like Pandora, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those guys. And I will also say, as someone who has never fully or officially paid for Pandora, I have to listen to the ads, and there's still a lot of people like me out there, and I mean into the millions that have never actually paid for their subscription. And so you kind of have a captive audience. But digital audio is really cool in the way that it has the ability to capture somebody's attention, maybe while they're working out, they're at home, even at work. You can even be on the go.
Right. Digital audio ads, they're not skippable and they're served one at a time. So it really allows customers or listeners to get your message without distractions. We can do it by genre and we can do it by channel. So you could say, hey, I want to hit all the country listeners, or I want to hit everybody on Pandora. But what we like to do, which is our third option, that we do almost every time, is we can do it by targeting that consumer. So once we find out and define who we're going after with your campaign, we just go after those people no matter what platform they're listening to or what genre they're listening to. So I could be on Pandora listening to reggae, but I line up with who you're targeting, so I will get your ad. Jen could be on Spotify listening to a comedian, and she lines up with what your target is, and so she could be served your ad. Tara could be on iHeart listening to a podcast or her thrash metal that she likes, and if she lines up with your target, she would be served an ad. So it really offers a maximum control over, um, yes, Tara, thrash metal, um, over how and where messages are heard. It just makes sure we're hitting the right target and they're hearing your ad. So we've gone
Absolutely.
through, like I said, these are a lot of our most popular targets, most popular tactics, excuse me. We do a lot of other ones. I think we only hit on maybe 6, 7. We have a whole suite of tactics we do. Some of the other ones, one of the newer ones, see there is medical audience targeting. This one's where we can actually target people based on diagnosis they've received, prescriptions that they are on. It is not um,
It's not a HIPAA
we don't know.
violation.
Right, yes.
We
We don't
promise.
know their names. We don't know we know their interests and behaviors. So there's no HIPAA violations there. We're assured. This would be perfect for like a clinic that's going after maybe they're doing a study on someone that has a certain diagnosis. You can get right in front of the right people based on knowing what that diagnosis is already, and then knowing maybe what prescriptions they take. IP targeting, paid search, uh, email, lead generation, retargeting we do on every single one of our campaign tactics. It's just where once they've clicked on your ad and go to whether your website or landing page or wherever we send them to, we see that, and then we can really start serving them back your ads with more frequency. And one thing we like to do, if it's relevant, we can have a whole different ad set for retargeting. So you have one ad set for your campaign, but then once we see they're interested, we can do a whole other ad set just for the retargeting to that person that might have a little bit more urgency. Um, so all these tactics, all these impressions, all these views, they're great, but they won't do you anything unless why, Jen?
Unless you have a whole mess of good creative.
Right.
So this is kind of where I get to let my very obvious geek shine right through. So
Yeah,
let's
I've
just
already
lean into
geeked
it.
out. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, my turn, my turn. Um, so one of the things that I wanted to dovetail off of after Tim had gone through all of those really cool digital tactics is that those are super great, and I just somehow gave myself a thumbs up, so that's awesome. Thanks, Zoom. But those are really, really great. But you have to have good creative and you have to have a good message. That's going to be really, really critical to that ROI that you might be investing into those digital tactics that, like I said, we will walk you through. We will help make sure that we pick the right ones for you. So, like the slide says, creativity isn't just a cherry on top, it's the whole sundae. So let's talk about how we sweeten that deal. So my apologies to any Android user on the call today. I was born and raised in a Mac household. I actually had an Apple IIe. I think we can all probably collectively bond over a love of the game Oregon Trail. But I wanted to use this particular poster because it still holds up. And it really is just a red apple, but a whole lot of people were really ready to have a conversation about in-home personal computers. They got kind of enraptured with this, and just it had to be an apple, it had to be an apple. But that's because it's a good visual, it's a strong message, it's short, it's sweet, and it gives them something exciting to really chase after. And within that, I would also say, we refer to it as engagement on here. It's also called a call to action. Um, Great message, great visuals. Give them something to do. That gets them to spend more time with you, become more invested with you, and do the thing that's right for you. A quiz might not be great, or a quiz would be great maybe for somebody that is dealing with something medical, but maybe I just need to get you to donate or participate in a silent auction or something along those lines. Quiz might not be for you. Might need to get to the point in a different way for that one. Next is personalization and the VIP treatment. So I absolutely love and regularly feel attacked by the Unbecome Your Parents commercial series that is out right now. I
What
am
is
100% the woman that makes the coat chair at the theater. So like I said, um, while while this isn't necessarily using my first name to get my attention, they've done a very, very, very good job of knowing exactly who they're talking to and really personalizing this content in an extremely strong way. But when we also talk about personalization, like I said, that is going back and making sure that somebody's first name is on a letter, it's in an email, it's in the ad if you can even swing it. And it's really about anymore because we're targeting behaviors, actions, products. We're targeting because we're targeting that whole person. Your job is to build a relationship with that person, even if you're a large company, even if you're just trying to sell a widget, you are also building a relationship, because if the relationship doesn't go well, they're going to beat feet to their platform of choice to make sure that you know that. So it's important for you to present that you're a real person trying to help them with maybe a real problem that they're facing, and that you're going to create a relationship that's going to solve that problem. And then last but not least, and then we'll kick into some Q&A. It looks like we've got lots of great stuff going on in the chat. Lots of folks will tell you it's a sales funnel. I personally, from years and years and years of marketing, believe it's more of a sales cycle. So you are going to want people on that marketing team, on that creative team, that are very comfortable with good demographics and good data, still throwing a good idea against the wall to see if it sticks. This is where A/B testing is critical. You might believe that you have got, well, here, I'll use a personal example. I built a social media strategy for a dear friend a number of years ago, and I was convinced I had put the best possible social media strategy together. And within 2 weeks, we chucked the whole thing out the door. Didn't work. We needed to listen to what people wanted us to be talking to them about, not what we thought they needed to hear. So again, that's that relationship building that was also part of how you have to test. So it is finding those leads, connecting with them, qualifying those leads. So we can start with a big pile of people. We might move to a smaller pile of people that are actually going to interact and do what we want them to do. We're going to present them with those ads. We are going to overcome any objections, any concerns. We're going to listen. We're going to get them to do the thing through a good message and a good call to action. And then we're going to stay in touch with them. I mean, you guys have seen it. If you buy anything from Target, or if you leave something in your cart, you get a very sweet email the next morning that says, "Did you forget something?" Aw, like I needed more excuses to go to Target. I'm sure my husband would like for me to not go quite so often. But that's what they're doing. They're nurturing that relationship with me. And then guess what? They're going to serve me something again in a day or two that is something that I probably like or might like. Maybe I've never considered it, because they're keeping track of my shopping. So that being said, we have talked a whole big bunch. And Tim, I hope you've got the chat pulled up over there, so that we can, go through all of Tara's favorite thrash metal songs.
Okay.
But at this point, we would love to kick over to some Q&A with folks.